In many ways, the word masterpiece is the perfect verbal crutch to lean on when something blows you away so much that it leaves you almost speechless. I mean, when something really hits you, when it really resonates with you, when it really just gets in you. Sorry about that. I've been watching so many John Wick movies for this video that I miss my wife.
What are you doing, John?
She's not my wife. She's no one's wife. She's a fictional character. The first thing most people think of when they think of the John Wick franchise is the action. I mean, it is balls to the wall. Balls. Tennis ball, throw it against the wall. Tennis ball, throw it against the wall.
Help me forget about my cancer.
Helen. For me, however, the thing that's always struck me about the franchise, the second one in particular, is the efficiency of the dialogue. John Wick Chapter 2 has this immense trait of being infinitely rewatchable, not just because of the violent acts and, the pencil thing. The way in which the dialogue is so masterfully engaging to the point where you don't mind hearing it again and again. The dialogue in its structure is almost like a character in its own way. John Wick doesn't have that many lines, but when he does talk, they're all like bullets. They're like kills, efficient and deadly, which is in line with his whole persona. Winston is an indulgent and showy type who never minces his words and asserts himself upon everyone he interacts with. Santino D'Antonio talks too much, and that's what leads him to his ultimate fate. Chiron, or the concierge, because they for some reason decided not to give him a canonical name until the third movie, is prim and proper, but you can tell there's a slight edge to him. And the Bowery King...
Look at all those chickens!
And the Bowery King is larger than life, and his presentation, whilst almost comedic, brings a different light to the way in which the story is presented, due to how much more irreverent he is compared to the other characters. Winston, Santino, and the Bowery King in particular are so engaging when we hear them speak, especially when they speak with John, because it gives us a wider sense of what they're like as characters. Winston is an assertive and assured man, but when it comes to John, he has a sensitiveness about him. You can tell how deeply he cares about him, and you can get a real sense of the pair's history together. Santino thinks less of John. Despite knowing of John's situation, he still exploits him for his own gain. The way in which he speaks to John, almost mockingly at times, shows that he isn't truly as put together as he likes to think he is, because clearly we as the audience know what John Wick is capable of, and yet, in spite of this, Santino shows him no respect whatsoever, and the Bowery King stays ultra cool with John in his presence, despite the pair's rough history. But at the same time has a real flow about the way he acts. His vocabulary is almost juvenile at times, emphasising how much fun he's having. Either that or he's just mental, which if you ask me is a good vibe anyway. The fact that the film always takes itself seriously really strengthens the script as well. It could easily be littered with cheesy one-liners or jokes to undercut the tension, but it always stays true to the story that it wants to tell. It's dark, it's gritty, and... at times it can be depressing, but it's always engaging and entertaining. For example, the scene in which John confronts Santino D'Antonio in the restaurant at the Continental after their battle is perfect. We as the audience know exactly what's going to happen, despite the fact that the repercussions of John's actions will mean God knows what for him, and we can tell by Santino's body language that he thinks he's won. He thinks he's got John right where he wants him. John just stands there silently over Santino as he babbles on and on and on about his meal. All the while Winston is stood right next to them and he knows exactly what's going to happen. A lesser film would have had Winston be stood there going, "Put the gun down, John, you're being a little bit silly now. You're being a little bit stupid, mate. Come on, you're being a bit stupid. Have you got a licence for that gun?" Something of that like, just babbling on, cutting the tension out, inserting humour where it doesn't need to be inserted. But instead, he adds to the situation because he's stood there and he can feel exactly what's going to happen and he's powerless to stop it. And sure enough, John takes Santino out. And all he can say, when asked by Winston,
"What have you done?"
is,
"Finished it."
John only has one line in this entire scene, yet he steals it completely with his body language alone. You can tell he's exhausted not only by the events of the film but the loss of his wife, the fact that he had believed that he had escaped the blood-soaked life he'd left behind, only to be pulled back in against his own will, and him breaking the most sacred of rules by killing Santino on continental grounds has irreparably condemned him to the life he wanted so desperately to escape. He'll never know true peace because of what he's done. And yet, we as the audience have a sense of relief, because Santino's dead. The evil guy got what he deserved, right? Things like this are what really separate this film from other films of the genre, because it presents us with such complex questions like this. Because, at its core, it is an action movie, and, as I said earlier, the driving force behind its success is the action set pieces, but John Wick 2 has so much heart to it, I really don't think people give it enough credit for. I truly believe that John Wick Chapter 2 is masterful in everything that it tries to do, and anyone who hasn't seen the John Wick films, please go and watch them. They're so good, and they're made with so much love and care, and just, you know, what else are you going to be doing? Look at you, you're watching me. What the hell, what? How did it get this bad? But in all seriousness, if you like this video, then consider subscribing to my channel, and if you're a good person, maybe I'll make more videos like this. And if you hated the video, at least you felt something. Bye.